Alek Manoah had his best start in the better part of 2 years for the Toronto Blue Jays today, and I know fans are up in arms about the lineup choices by John Schneider, but we want to focus on the positive today, and that was big Alek Manoah stepping up to the plate when he was called upon, and 7 innings of no earned runs. So we'll break that down and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, due to last video's top comment, I am now in Exhibition Stadium. So thank you guys. Let us know which stadium you want me to be in next. A bit of a hurry today, but we had to make sure to get this stadium in for you guys. Keep it light, keep it fresh, and keep you guys wanting to come back as well because the Jays have a tendency to not make people want to come back. But today was a great outing from Alek Manoah, Nick. I was glued to my television, and I hadn't felt that way all season, pretty much, with the Toronto Blue Jays. And Alek Manoah made me want to watch, even though they lost. It wasn't the outcome that we wanted in today's game. He was great today, and just showed that competitive spirit, that fiery attitude that allowed him to be third in Cy Young voting just a couple of years ago. Will he ever get back to that? Remains to be seen. We need to see this more consistently out of him because that's been the big issue with him. One start he looks okay, whether it be in the minors or the majors. Then he reverts back to ground zero and he's just back where he started before. So this was a great step in the right direction for him. I was very impressed with what I saw and very efficient as well. I felt like he could have gone a little bit longer, but maybe that 3-run home run by Carlos Santana kind of did him in. But great outing today, and just great to see the big man shoving again on that mound.
Yeah, obviously the result of the game was not what we looked for, but the big picture here, and look at the big picture of the Jays, but Noah being a good, serviceable fifth starter is going to be very important going forward. Before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed, make sure to hit that button. Mean the world to Peter and I make videos every day. But Peter, let's just get right into it. Alek Manoah's day is done. He had 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 3 runs. Ernie Clement did him no favors tonight with a couple of errors. But, I mean, you just mentioned it, and you actually watched the game. I was right there with you, absolutely glued to my TV. Everything looked great, and they mentioned it on the broadcast a lot, and if you were watching, you saw it. Peter's changeup, he only used it once in his last outing where he gave up tons of earned runs. Today he was using it effectively 12 times. He actually probably used it more than 12 times, but at the time of this tweet, 12 times, 4 whiffs, 2 Ks, 78 pitches through 7 innings, which is absurd. Obviously, without Ernie's error, he probably would have got out of the inning and maybe could have went more. The offense was dead like usual, but this is very important going forward. His slider looked amazing. If he can be a serviceable fifth starter, I mean, that's exactly what you want, and I know they lost, and we'll get into the lineup in a little bit, but this is good, at least in a nutshell, for Alek Manoah.
And I'm not going to nitpick in his start whatsoever. I'm not going to say, oh, he gave up a lot of hard contact. He got bailed out by the defense. Who cares? Like this is a great step in the right direction for him in terms of his confidence because his confidence was shot. And you could see today he ended, I believe, the first 3 or 4 innings with a strikeout that he pitched today. And just hopping off that mound with that confidence that he exuded in years past. And he found that again today. Now, the big issue with him is going to be able to do it going forward. Is he going to have that same fiery attitude in his next start? Because he was on it today, man, and he just looked fired up. He had it from the jump, and against a left-handed heavy lineup like the Minnesota Twins today, that changeup was going to be crucial, and he found it from the first inning. And Joe Siddall touched on it before the game. Said, "I want to see Alek Manoah go to that changeup a lot more because his fastball is not electric by any means. He's not going to blow it by anybody, although he did today." But that changeup is going to be big for him going forward, just to add that other weapon into his arsenal. It's usually been slider fastball with Alek Manoah, with the two C mixed in there. The changeup in the season where he finished third in Cy Young voting, he threw it around 12% of the time. So that's a pretty significant chunk of his pitches that are changeups right there. So I want to see him implement that going forward, and great step in the right direction today. I was just so happy to see him out there and smiling and having a good time because he can be a big part of the future of the Toronto Blue Jays, and he should be. He's a cheap, controllable contract. He just has to find his confidence and his game again, and this was step one in doing that.
Yeah, and you look at the rest of the pitchers. Swanson had a rough go as well, which kind of put the game out of reach there. But yeah, I'm not gonna. I agree with you. I'm not gonna nitpick what he did. He did great. And if you're living in the zone like Alek Manoah was, and like he should be doing, you're gonna give up contact, hard contact even from time to time. But I'd much rather see him be able to do that and get through 7 innings on however many pitches it was, 75 or 76, than him walk a bunch of
Yeah.
guys like he's been doing before. So yes, hard contact is gonna be given up, but I mean the Jays are built to deal with that. And ultimately today they let him down a little bit, but I was overall happy with that. But Peter, I mean the hitters, there's literally like nothing to talk about here. I mean, there is something to talk about, and it's the lineup. But again, everyone's kind of up in arms about this. At this point,
Mhm.
I just don't know why George Springer is still leading off. You had a recipe that was working yesterday, and even the game before to a degree, but yesterday especially, we put up 16 hits, season high. We finally scored more than 6 runs. And then I understand that Jansen not DHing because he's played a ton of games in a row, but David Schneider, at this point, it's time to move Springer away and maybe even Vogel back off the team for Spencer Horwitz or something at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Vogelbach is still doing on this roster. He's hitting under 100. He hasn't contributed anything, and he can't play the field either. So it's not like he offers value in other areas. We don't have to talk about his base running. Let's not do that. But yeah, he's brought in here to do a job, and he hasn't done that yet so far this season. And I don't think he will. I've never been impressed with him as a player. Kind of a one-trick pony. Had that one good year in Seattle where hit a bunch of home runs and never really found that again. He hit a lot of singles last year with the New York Mets. A lot of fans were frustrated with that because you don't want to see this guy hit singles. You want to see him be an all or nothing hitter. But I'm at the point now with this team, Nick, where I try to find little positives game by game. Okay. And I know fans are right to be upset about the lineup, but let's take a step back and let's just admire what we saw out of Alek Manoah today. That's the way I see it because this was his best outing in 2 years. He's, I'm not going to say he's back because we need to see it consistently, but this is the Alek Manoah that we saw for the better part of his first 2 years in the big leagues. And that's the positive that I'm going to take out of this. And I'm not going to say that the Jays are rebuilding or that the season is lost. But the way that the team has been performing lately, I just want to try to find some positives and run with them. And Alek Manoah was the biggest plus sign that I saw today. It was great to see. It got to the point where I wanted the Jays to go up, three down in the bottom half of the inning so I could see him back on the mound again just to keep it going. How long can this last? And yeah, 73 pitches through 7 innings. He was at 57 pitches through 6 innings. So he was remarkably efficient today. The defense, aside from Ernie Clement, was good behind him. And it was just great to see. It brought a smile to my face just watching Alek Manoah go to work and look like vintage Alek Manoah. That was the big takeaway for me today. The lineup, yeah, can't really do anything about that. Bailey Ober was locked in today for the Minnesota Twins. Don't know if any lineup would have changed that for the Blue Jays. So yeah, you want to see Schneider roll out the lineup that scored 10 runs last yesterday, but didn't happen. But we did see great things out of Alek Manoah, and that's what I'm very fired up about.
Yeah, we'll take it with we'll take the positives today, and you should be fired up if you're a Jays fan because this could be very important for the Jays going forward. And without him, I mean, if he gets back to a Cy Young, not even Cy Young, a shade of his old self, it'll be very good for the Jays. And huge shout out to him on Mother's Day as well. He seemed to be having a great time. And that's what we
Yeah.
missed. We missed him being happy, which was one of the biggest things. But that'll wrap it up. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. If you're watching this video, if you're have your mom, go wish them Happy Mother's Day and
That's
enjoy
right.
the day. Thank you guys for watching, and shout out to Peter from Exhibition Stadium right there. We'll see you guys tomorrow.